Well, as you can see, our harvest is looking pretty good on this particular end of our blueberry row, and we have 4 plants here that we've been harvesting now for probably a couple of weeks. And again, the berries are getting smaller with each picking compared to those first ones that were quite large, but again, the flavor is quite nice. Now, if you remember, probably 2 or 3 years ago, the other end of the blueberry row has been giving us some problems, and it still is to date. Now, let me remind you again what needs to go on with blueberries. Well, you'll notice that they're in a raised bed because they need to have good drainage. They like a lot of organic matter, good rich organic matter, and they have to have an acidic soil pH. This end, again, looks pretty good, but what's happened was this end, we had some blueberry plants that died off. The pH test that we had taken was close to 7, which blueberries need a pH of anywhere from 4 to 5.5, so again, very acidic on the lower end of the scale. And what we did, we came in a couple of years ago and amended the soil. We put in organic matter, and the best things to use again are peat moss, pecan hulls, anything that you know is acidic and sold that way. But we tried to add a few more organic products that actually, as we found out at a later date, had a pH of around 8 or 8.5, so we actually did the wrong thing. And as a result, we lost those 2 plants this year, or last year. We put in 2 more this year in February, and you'll notice one of them is already dying on us. It's got a little bit of growth coming out. The one that has gotten established is very sick. Now, looking at that, somebody might say, oh my gosh, they've developed a very variegated blueberry plant. Well, that's not the case. This is called iron chlorosis. It's a problem that tells you that the pH is out of whack. Now, we don't even need to do a soil pH test to know that that's a problem. So what we've got to do is correct it, and very quickly, because if we leave this alone and it gets completely yellow, by the end of the season, this plant will be dead. Now, some people notice it even in their mature plants. So what do? Well, we've got the right planting conditions, we just need to get the soil pH back down. To correct that over the long run, we'll add soil sulfur, and that's something you should do anyway when you prepare blueberry beds. But what we'll do is we'll incorporate it in the soil a little bit. We even side dress our mature plants with it in the fall. This time of year you got to be careful though, because you can burn the plants in the hot summer. We also use a product called ammonium sulfate. Ammonium sulfate has a little bit of nitrogen, but also sulfur, and sulfur is the product that's going to lower the soil pH. So not only are we giving it fertilizer, but we're also helping reduce the soil pH. We do that by side dressing the mature ones, and we can do that on these as a maintenance project too. But we need a quick fix-up, and the way to do that is with products like muracid or things that have iron in it. And the reason why is when the pH is too high, iron is what's deficient in causing this problem with the yellowing and the green veins. And so we need to get a little bit of iron in there, and again, the way to correct that permanently is to lower the pH. So we're doing a combination of things, but muracid has iron in it. It's a soil acidifier. Here's one sold as liquid iron, and here's another brand of liquid iron. These products are mixed where you can drench the soil as well as spray it on the plants. So you would spray it, it hopefully would be absorbed in and green it up a little bit quicker. Now, if you do that alone and don't fix the soil problem with the pH, you're just defeating the purpose. But let me also encourage you to do some other things when you're buying products, and that is to always read the label. The 3 in front are also sulfur type products or iron products, but if you put those on the foliage, you're in trouble. This one here is used strictly as a fungicide. Sulfur is also sold as a fungicide, but it's a different formulation. Here are 2 products that say soil acidifiers, but if you read the label, it's strictly for soil drench. If you put it on the foliage again, you're in big trouble. And this time of year, you can get in trouble and burn the plant. So if you're going to spray the foliage, just mix it up depending on the size of your plant, and just spray that on a little bit. Get good coverage. Try to do that late in the evening or early in the morning. Sometimes hot sun with the iron can burn it. Now, you got to be careful. If this is around a building or sidewalk and you spray iron on it, you're going to stain that as well. Now, would we go ahead and spray it on our mature plants? The answer is no, and the reason for that is, look at the foliage. It's very rich green. Now, this is new growth just from this spring, and it's a little bit lighter in color, and that's normal. What you want to worry about is when you get new growth that's yellow with variegation on it like that. and then you would need to control that problem as well. Now, we don't want to spray anything now because we're harvesting fruit, so you don't want to spray any kind of chemicals, period. After we're through, we usually side dress them with ammonium sulfate, come back with sulfur, and we do that year after year because it's a continual problem. Our soils around the Stillwater area have a high pH. We need to keep battling that and lowering it on a yearly basis. And it's something that you're most likely to have to do too. Now this applies to azaleas and any other products or plants that have a need for acidic soils. So think about that. Obviously it's a little bit of work, but boy, when you look at this basket full of blueberries, that work pays off, obviously. So just remember, azaleas, blueberries, those types of things need low pH. There's plenty of products on the market to help you achieve it, but the best way to do it is early on when you plant them initially, and then just remember to maintain them to help keep the pH low. And again, if you're in an area with blueberry farms, check them out because the blueberry harvest is really excellent this season.